Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about something super important for all of us. Learning. Whether you're a student, a professional, or just someone who loves to learn new things, we all want to know how to do it effectively. In this video, I'm going to share with you some of the best evidence-based methods for learning quickly and efficiently. We're going to dive into active recall, spaced repetition, the Feynman technique, and the Pomodoro technique. We'll also share some must-read books that can help you master these techniques and take your learning to the next level. So if you're ready to supercharge your learning game, grab your notebook and let's get started. All right, let's kick things off with active recall. This is a technique I use all the time, and let me tell you, it's a game changer. Essentially, active recall is all about testing yourself on the material you're trying to learn. Now, you might be thinking, testing, but I thought this was about learning, not exams. And you're right, but hear me out. When you actively try to recall information, you're forcing your brain to work harder. Think about it like this. Imagine you're trying to find a specific file on your computer. If you just passively scroll through folders, it might take you ages. But if you use the search bar and actively try to recall the file name, you'll find it much faster. The same principle applies to learning. When you test yourself, you're essentially searching your brain for the information. This process of searching and retrieving strengthens the neural pathways associated with that information, making it stick in your long-term memory. So how do you actually implement active recall? It's super simple. After you've gone through a section of material, close your book or notes and try to recall as much as you can from memory. You can do this by writing down key concepts, creating flashcards, or even just explaining the material to yourself out loud. The key is to actively engage with the information rather than just passively rereading it. Trust me, I used to be someone who would just highlight everything in a textbook and call it a day. But once I started using active recall, my learning skyrocketed. It's amazing how much of a difference such a simple technique can make. Now let's move on to another powerful technique, spaced repetition. This one works hand in hand with active recall and takes advantage of the way our brains naturally forget information over time. You see, our brains are constantly trying to be efficient, and one way they do this is by forgetting things we don't use regularly. It's like that old saying, use it or lose it, but we can actually hack this system to our advantage with spaced repetition. Here's how it works. Instead of cramming information all at once, you space out your review sessions over increasingly longer intervals. So let's say you learn something new today. You might review it again tomorrow, then a few days later, then a week later, then a month later, and so on. By gradually increasing the time between reviews, you're forcing your brain to retrieve the information when it's on the verge of forgetting it. This desirable difficulty strengthens the memory even further, making it less likely to fade away. The beauty of spaced repetition is that it's incredibly flexible and can be adapted to any learning material. You can use flashcards, spaced repetition software like Anki, or even just create your own schedule in a planner. If you're serious about remembering what you learn for the long haul, spaced repetition is an absolute game changer. It takes a bit more planning and discipline than traditional cramming, but the results are well worth the effort. Chapter 3. The Feynman technique, learn it like you teach it. All right, let's move on to a technique that's a bit more unconventional but equally effective, the Feynman technique. This one is named after the legendary physicist Richard Feynman, who was known for his incredible ability to explain complex concepts in a simple and intuitive way. The basic idea behind the Feynman technique is to learn something so well that you can teach it to someone else. And no, you don't actually need to find someone to teach it to, although that can be helpful. The act of simply pretending to teach the material is enough to expose your knowledge gaps and deepen your understanding. Here's how it works. First, choose a concept you want to learn. Then, imagine you're explaining it to a friend who has no prior knowledge on the subject. Write down your explanation as if you were talking to them directly, using simple language and avoiding any technical jargon. As you go, you'll inevitably come across points where you get stuck or realize you don't fully understand something. This is where the magic happens. By identifying your weak spots, you can go back to your learning resources and focus specifically on those areas. Once you've filled in the gaps in your knowledge, try explaining the concept again, this time aiming for even more clarity and simplicity. The Feynman technique is incredibly effective because it forces you to engage with the material on a deeper level. When you have to explain something in your own words, you can't just rely on rote memorization. You have to truly understand the underlying concepts and relationships. Plus, it's a lot more fun than just passively reading or listening to lectures. So next time you're struggling to grasp a difficult concept, give the Feynman technique a try. You might be surprised by how much it helps. Chapter 4. The Pomodoro Technique. Conquer procrastination and stay focused. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about a technique that can help you optimize your study sessions and boost your productivity. The Pomodoro Technique. We've all been there. You sit down with the best intentions to study, but before you know it, you're scrolling through social media, checking your email, or doing anything but the task at hand. Procrastination is a real struggle, but the Pomodoro technique can help you overcome it. The technique is deceptively simple. You break down your work into intervals, traditionally 25 minutes in length, separated by short breaks of 5 minutes. Each interval is known as a pomodoro, named after the Italian word for tomato, inspired by the tomato-shaped timer the technique's creator used. Here's how it works. Choose your task and set a timer for 25 minutes. During that time, eliminate all distractions and focus solely on the task at hand. Once the timer goes off, take a short 5-minute break to get up, move around, stretch, or grab a quick drink. After 4 pomodoros, take a longer break of 20 to 30 minutes to give your brain a chance to rest and recharge. The beauty of the Pomodoro technique lies in its simplicity and effectiveness. By breaking down your work into manageable chunks, you're less likely to feel overwhelmed and more likely to stay motivated. The short breaks act as rewards for your focused work, making the entire process more enjoyable and sustainable. And let's be honest, knowing you have a break coming up can do wonders for your concentration. Whether you're studying for an exam, writing a paper, or tackling any other task that requires focused attention, the Pomodoro technique can be a game changer. It's a simple yet powerful tool that can help you make the most of your time and boost your productivity. Chapter 5. Recommended books. Deep dive into learning mastery. So far, we've covered some incredibly effective techniques for learning quickly and efficiently, but if you really want to dive deep and take your learning to the next level, I highly recommend checking out these books. First up, we have Make It Stick: The Science of Successful Learning by Peter C. Brown, Henry L. Roediger III, and Mark A. McDaniel. This book is a must-read for anyone serious about understanding the science behind how we learn. It delves into the cognitive psychology of learning and provides practical strategies for improving your memory, retention, and understanding. Next, we have Ultra Learning: Master Hard Skills, Outsmart the Competition, and Accelerate Your Career by Scott H. Young. This book is all about taking a proactive and self-directed approach to learning. Scott shares his personal experiences and insights on how to learn anything faster and more effectively, drawing on examples from fields as diverse as language learning, programming, and even competitive memory. And finally, no discussion on learning would be complete without mentioning Atomic Habits, an easy and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones by James Clear. While not strictly a book about learning, Atomic Habits provides a powerful framework for building positive habits and breaking bad ones. And as we all know, consistent learning is ultimately a habit. James Clear's practical strategies and actionable advice can help you create an environment that supports your learning goals and makes it easier to stick to your study schedule. These books have had a profound impact on my own learning journey, and I can't recommend them enough. If you're looking to up your learning game, be sure to add them to your reading list. And that's it for today's video. I hope you found these learning techniques helpful and feel inspired to try them out for yourself. Remember, becoming a better learner is a journey, not a destination. It's about constantly seeking out new strategies, experimenting with different approaches, and finding what works best for you. Thanks for watching. If you found these tips helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more insightful content. Let us know in the comments which method you're excited to try first. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts. Until next time, happy learning